New Year, same sponsors, everybody. Squaring Around is proud to be brought to you by Elite Sports. Elite Sports is the only place where you can get custom merch from the show, just like this hat right here. EliteSports.com, ELETE sports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout, get a nice discount. Support the show. They also have their full line of athletes. You've probably seen my Ben McLean shirt. You've probably seen a few other shirts floating in around, including that Squaring Around sweater that I wear from time to time. So if that tickles your fancy, support the show, EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Squaring Around is also proud to be brought to you by Home Field Apparel. Home Field is your one-stop shop for most things college athletics. Not Texas State yet, but I promise when that day happens, it will be magical. So if you have a Longhorn, if you have an Aggie, you have something else in your life, get them a gift. Tell them the Square Boys sent you. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Welcome back, everybody, to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. I'm joined, as always, by Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State sports president. This week, we're joined by our friend Colton McWilliams of the San Marcos Daily Record. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now, in the universe even. So many things. And there's even more going on in the college football world. The coaching carousel is already going on its wayward path. If Oklahoma State somehow manages to beat Baylor, things are going to get extremely interesting for the Texas State Bobcats pretty soon. And they're on a bye week. So originally my plan was to do like a mailbag, but then the Mike Gundy news happened.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
That's my ringtone for everything.
Oh, it is?
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Glad that wasn't mine.
Yeah. Well, I changed mine last night. I figured if he was going to use my ringtone, then I should certainly use his ringtone.
And so here we are. We got three Cowboys talking about what could be next for the Oklahoma State Cowpokes pretty soon.
I will say that Jacob got on a flight early Monday morning to come back from Arizona after the funeral he was at this weekend. So I want to thank him for making time to do that for us. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, no, it's college football, man. It's been wild. Now, Colton, our last guest doesn't watch college football. I take it you do?
Yeah, I would hope
A little
so.
bit? Okay.
Yeah, just
Claire,
a little bit. Just a little bit.
Claire says hello.
Dude, this
Okay.
is my last or my most recent week that I've gotten to watch football. Week 1, 2, and 3. Really, I didn't get to watch a lot of football.
So the last Texas State game that you really like watched start to finish was Nichols. Is that what I'm hearing?
Pretty much.
Okay.
First time I got to see Texas State actually do something with a football was UTSA. That was nice.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. What is the vibe check really? Colton,
So-
you're with the team week to week. Where are we at? Like hot and cold?
I mean, I think going into conference play, like I guess when we started before the season, knowing like what we had returning, I mean, going 3-1 with this conference schedule, I mean, you got to be feeling at least pretty good going into conference. I mean, y'all you start off with a really big win against Eastern Michigan. You beat UTSA in the Alamo Dome for the first time. Didn't look good against Arizona State, but that's low-key kind of what I was expecting, especially with Kenny Gillencamp's program. And then you come back against Nickel State. Nickel State really didn't make it much of a game. I mean, you did what you needed to do against an FCS opponent, which is, I mean, I don't know how much more we want to see from this team, but like going 3-1 when what many people consider like to be a rebuilding year. I mean, for me, I think you got to look at this as a positive. I mean, and when you're looking around the conference, besides the James Madison game, I mean, Andrew, you're probably one of the more Sunbelt. Like, is there anybody in the conference that you're looking at that you think like, oh yeah, this like is looking like a killer right now? Besides,
All right.
like,
So, okay, but this is how it is every year in the Sun Belt. And if you've watched the conference, like
But
I know
okay, But I think this year's different than the past 2 years because, like,
Every year, there's like three top teams that have like a devastating injury. Does that happen every year in the Sun Belt?
Okay, that doesn't happen every year. I will say though, but like case in point, we have an example, Exhibit A, Your Honor, ODU last year. Like the Sun Belt is the conference of any given Saturday. Like anybody can really get anybody. So when people are saying well, there's no killers in the Sun Belt, I'm like, yeah, but there's usually not a ton of killers, and then you still end up going 6-6 or 7-5, going like, damn, we shouldn't have given up that game or this game or that game. So I don't know. You said like we should feel really happy going 3-1, but I think all three of us picked 3-1 before the season, right? And we still had them at 7-5. So I don't know. It feels like, yeah, I'm excited. There's a lot of great things. I think Brad Jackson's played a lot better than most of us thought. Well, let me rephrase that. Better than I thought. Everybody else thought he was going to be Hercules. I'm seeing good things from him. The running back room took a big hit because I don't know if Burgess is out for the season or not. We don't know what his injury status is, and we won't know until next week probably. So the running back room took a hit. I don't know. I just feel like I'm coming into I'm coming into conference play feeling worse about the defense, feeling slightly better about the offense, but I don't know. I just don't. I'm not going to set a parade up. I'm not saying we're going undefeated in the Sun Belt Conference. Which I've heard some fans say before.
My vibe check a quarter of the way, or I guess now more than a quarter of the way through the season, because by the time we see these guys play, it'll be week, what, 6, 5? Where are we?
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever.
It'll be, yeah.
But anyway, more than a quarter of the way through the season, I think the defense is exactly what I thought it was. Nothing special.
Yeah.
You can tell
like,
all of our money is going to edge rushers and on the outside. I don't think it's bad. It's just not really competitive at times, maybe. Or maybe they're just playing to the level of their opponent. And it's just all big 3D chess move from my guy, Dexter McCoyle. But none of the coaches will really talk to us. So who knows?
I'm not letting him off the hook is the way I would phrase this. I'm not letting him off the hook. The defense wasn't very good last year, and it looks not that great this year either. Now, maybe that changes. Maybe this bye week we come out against Arkansas State in 2 weeks and look incredible, but I just don't.
Yeah. Really, I guess the story is depth, as you were saying, you know, and it's being challenged a lot, especially early on, too.
So, Colton, after the FCS win, right? Like this is the part too that I think I feel a little bit different. If we were coming off a UTSA win going into a bye week, I'd say this is incredible. We look great. But like coming off an FCS win, I just don't know if I'm going to get excited.
I mean, I could see that. I guess for me, I think
so. Would you say that the Texas State Bobcats today are the best team in the Sun Belt?
It's got to be between them, James Madison, and ODU. To me, those are the top three. Those are the top three teams in the Sun Belt.
So if you lose to Southern or Louisiana, you would say that's a failure of the season. You say like at this point, like that's a letdown.
I don't want to say it like now, but like when you look at the West Division, I mean, like there really isn't anybody in the West Division at this moment. You can definitely say like. Do you feel confident picking them over Texas State? I mean, a lot of people thought, you know, maybe it was South Alabama, but then they dropped that game against Coastal. I mean, a lot of people were kind of riding that Southern Miss bandwagon, you know, with Charles Huff and all the Marshall players coming over, and then they just dropped the game against Louisiana Tech. Like the Sun Belt West teams are just dropping like some random games, and like they're not being consistent. And Texas State's maybe the more consistent team.
Which is something to say, considering that we just talked about how bad the defense is.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the Texas State Bobcats are maybe the most consistent team in the West, and they have a defense that's consistently not good, that's saying something. That's impressive.
Shout out my two track friends, James Ortiz and John Hernandez, from my Texas State days. But they kind of go by like a mantra too, like that all track people. And Colton, I'm sure you're familiar with this, but it's better to be consistently good than like occasionally great.
Yeah.
Sometimes Texas State's offense is just better all around.
Than anybody else.
Good. You know?
And I think that's going to be the key going into conference, because I think because the offense is so good, I don't think the defense doesn't need to be like elite. It just needs to be just good enough. And I guess that's the question. Like, is this defense good enough to allow the offense to allow the to kind of let the offense do what it needs to do. And I think the key to beating Texas State is and when you look at the West Division, do you think there's a defense in the Sun Belt right now you think can slow down the offense?
Yes. I think Southern Miss's defense, even losing to La Tech last week, I was like, I see sparks that if they put together 2 good quarters and Texas State's down going into the 4th, I would feel very concerned. I'd feel very nervous.
Okay, and that's understandable. And I think Arizona State kind of put together they put together the blueprint like how you beat Texas State. It's like you have to slow down the offense, but like you need to score, but you need to continually be scoring points. And it's almost like a twofold question. Like, okay, yeah, the Southern Miss, defense can be pretty good. Can the offense be able to score? And that's kind of what it comes down to. It's like, and like just right now, I don't see any team in the Sun Belt that can slow down like the offense, but can be able to keep up with the Texas State offense. And that's kind of why I feel confident in this team. I mean, but like you said, like in the Sun Belt, it's basically the Thunderdome. Like every game, like you're going into, like you need to be, on your A game every single week. And
I will say that if Texas State wins the Sun Belt this season, I would say that's the best coaching job that GJ has done in the last 3 years.
100%.
He should win Coach of the Year and Coach of everything, honestly. And it's kind of crazy because it'd be like the thing that the Sun Belt killed actually made it the best? Question mark.
Which would be what?
Texas State.
What did the Sun Belt kill Texas State?
Well, remember they tried to nerf our boys. They no preseason awards, no anything.
Got you.
It would be big medicine for the Sun Belt to take as the Bobcats ride off into the sunset into the Pac-12.
It would be ironic. Now that would be ironic. You are correct about that. I just still stand on yes, there's no offense that I feel super confident about putting their offense versus Texas State, but at the same time, all it takes is them stopping 2 or 3 drives in the second half, and all of a sudden it's a 2-score game, and you're sweating if you're GJ Kenny. That's the point I'm making. And I don't know how I turn into Mr. Negative all the time about the Texas State Bobcats, because I'm pretty positive about this team. But I just feel like when we talk about it, if we're going to hold them to the standard of, yes, they're the best team in the Sun Belt, there's no team that's second, like this is the standard bearer, then if you're going to do that, then when they lose a game in the Sun Belt Conference, because I feel like it's probably going to happen at some point, I don't think they go clean throughout. Like, are we going to come on the podcast? Are we going to go on Spaces? Are we going to go on Twitter and really trash this team? I don't think we would. I just don't feel like that would be the right thing to do if they drop a game to Louisiana or Southern Miss down the road.
So at best, are you saying this team is 10-2?
If every domino falls their way, if every call goes their way, every bounce goes their way, then yeah, I think they could be 10-2. But I still feel very confident in the 7-5. I still very confident that this is a team that you have a 3-game stretch with a Tuesday game. That's going to be rough, man. That's going to be a very difficult run. The JMU, Southern Miss, ULL stretch that they have in the middle of the season.
Fortunate timing that this bye week comes right now when the team is probably the most banged up they've ever been. They'll get some returners back on both sides of the ball. Some guys were intentionally kept out of this game just for their own benefit, basically. GJ was talking about how they just couldn't go. They tried to go, and their bodies just weren't letting them. So they get kind of 2 weeks to rest up a week and a half, I guess, on the travel schedule before they play Arkansas State. And that'll be their first test against Jalen Rayner, right? Is he still there?
I will say,
Jalen Rayner's. Okay, Andrew, here's my question. If you have this team going 7-5, if that's what you're holding, like, what are your 4 other losses for them?
So it's not that I have them going 7-5, because I still think that win against UTSA would put them to 8 wins now, right? But like, I'm going to hold them as a 7-5 team.
Okay.
So that means I'm not going to come out if they lose a game to Southern Miss and say like, this is a failure on the coaching staff and the players and everything. I'm not going to do that if they lose to JMU. Yeah. I just don't think that would be fair. But if the rest of the fan base feels like this is a 10-2 team or an 11-1 team, then I expect to see when Brad Jackson has fewer than 200 yards, right, and fewer than 2 TDs and has an interception, I expect to see people saying like this is an awful quarterback performance. I expect to see the training staff getting trashed on social media or trashed in the other forums on Facebook and Twitter and shit, where like you're saying, hey, this team is failing to live up to the expectations. Because if the expectations now is moved that, okay, hey, this is the team that's going to win the Sun Belt, then we need to treat them like that. And we need to say, if that's truly the case, that this is a team that we think is going to win the Sun Belt, then GJ Kenny, coaching staff, SIDs, you're cowards for not coming on this podcast. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like if the fan base and everybody says like, hey, this is a team that can win the Sun Belt, not doing any media availability is a failure on your part. But I don't think that that's the case. I'm holding them to that 7-5 standard, and a 7-5 team doesn't come on a podcast. 7-5 team doesn't do a bunch of media availability because they know like, hey, we're going to lose a game down the road. Our guys are banged up. We don't have the media training. We don't have the players that we want to put in front of the media. Like that's a 7-5 team. They're doing media like a 7-5 team, so I'm treated like a 7-5 team. But if we think they're 10-2, then what's the deal? Why no podcasts? Why no media availability? Is that fair? Am I wrong?
No. That's completely fair.
Jacob, am I wrong?
Yeah, and for the record, I only am slightly more positive about this team. I think I'm holding at 8-4. Maybe if everything clicks, they're 9-3 or 10-2. I don't know. If a couple balls bounce, right? But as we go into conference play, it's hard for me to be like, "Ooh, we're gonna get all the benefits of the doubt from the referees and all the stuff like that." I don't know. Maybe there's some home court advantage that I'm just like tinfoil hat on. Also, one of the very last games of the year on the FCS slate for the UTRGV Vaqueros. For everybody watching the podcast at home, I got a UTRGV hat on. November 8th, the Vaqueros will play Nicholls State. So I'll be able to compare apples to oranges. Literally, oranges. Like, who's actually the better team? And if the Vaqueros put up 90 points again, I'm going to have some questions.
Well, I think it's different too, because this is the first time you're taking the Bugatti out of the garage. If you're the Vaqueros, this is your first season. Whereas Texas State, you're thinking, hey, we're trying to win the Sun Belt. Like we're gonna get. You don't think so?
No,
I think it's a big
remember
difference.
When GJ was like, "We're gonna have the most high-flying, high-scoring offense in the galaxy, brother," and then I don't think they've ever averaged 50 points a season.
But we said there's no way they're averaging 50. I said 35 at the most, and that's what they average. So
yeah, it's been like 43, I think, on the high end. It was year one or something, but still, yet to come close to that 50.
Okay, all right. I think that it's a little different of situation. I think it's situationally not the same thing.
I'm just saying, if you're saying you're going to do something, you got to do something.
Okay.
And maybe, I mean, obviously, UTRGV is just hammering the average with scheduling Texas Wesleyan and all these other Langston. I've never even heard of that school before.
So
who goes to those schools? Why are you going to that school? Number one, the Department of Education should fire everybody at that school. What are we doing?
Colton,
hey, you can't
am
hate
I
on
off?
Langston. That's the only HBCU in Oklahoma now. Like, hey, man.
Cancel Jacob.
Cancel Jacob?
That's funny.
SELU?
Not scheduling like women journalists, hating on HBCUs in Oklahoma, man. What has this podcast turned into?
The woke right. All right. So,
I've gone so left. I'm all the way on the right. Yeah.
So Colton, am I wrong? Does it feel like I would be that's the wrong take to have? That if they're 10-2, we have to hold them to like that standard?
No, well, it's weird because like when we came to the season, I don't think anybody had this team as a 10-2 team. It was just like this is kind of how everything's just kind of shook out because everyone thought,
I don't know. There were some guys smoking crack on the internet that had us at 12-0.
Murder, we cool with a lot of crackheads growing up, so it's a different. You don't know a crackhead?
Yeah, but.
Worst Sunbelt champion since blank. I mean, if you're really talking about, I mean, I don't know. I will stand on this. That is Brad Jackson playing better than I anticipated. 100%.
Oh yeah,
is the team playing better than I thought they would? No.
So you think the team should be playing better?
I think defensively and special teams has been really good in some situationally, but I don't look at the team currently. The UTSA win aside, I don't look at the team currently thinking to myself like this is a team that I could see winning the conference. I just don't right now. And maybe that's on me. Maybe that's me being pessimistic. But I just am like I'm holding it out until I see what they can do. Arkansas State will be a big test. Obviously, a good benchmark. Going on the road to do it too, that's important. But like if they are rolling through these teams, sure. But I just don't know. What do you guys think about a sellout crowd in front of an FCF's opponent? Because I thought that was kind of interesting.
No, I thought that's a great thing. I mean, like when you look at the crowds that hosted like 30,000 fans like at UCF Stadium, formerly Bobcat Stadium. I mean, you're talking about, hosting Texas Tech, Houston, Navy, and UTSA. I mean, those are basically givens. Like, when you look at the nickel stake, I mean, that's 95% Bobcat fans like in the stadium and like 5%. I mean,
So how do they do it, Colton? Do they give tickets away for free? Like, how do they get that many people there?
I mean, it's part of like family weekend. I mean, the family weekend deal that the athletic department has put together. I mean, it's the one that draws some of the biggest crowds. That's not a UTSA game or not a P4 team coming into San Marcos. And it's been, I think the first one was done in 22 when they hosted App State, and that was
A
that's
good game, right? Yeah.
And you kind of see like it's been growing every year. I mean, like last year they had family weekend was against Arkansas State, and it was another sellout crowd. I mean, it's just the athletic department just finding ways to just kind of get these students and get not only the students but like the families to go like, hey, spend a weekend, at a football game, watch Texas State, beat have an FCS team,
Jacob, your family was there, right?
Yeah, 31,500, by the way. Round numbers? I feel like that's an improbability. Whatever. We've said that these numbers are kind of the thumb is on the scale, very obviously.
It looked like a sellout crowd.
At any point, though, it was definitely a sellout crowd. Very fantastical atmosphere. Traffic was insane in the city. It sucked. I was telling Colton, I try to get to the stadium like 2 hours before the kick. I got there maybe 30 minutes before because I was fighting traffic the entire way. Finally made it through. I ran into every single form of resistance out there in the universe. I'm there to pick up my credential for the media, I'm in line for 45 minutes in the credential line because they're giving passes out to everybody and their mom, and everybody and their mom doesn't have a pass. It was crazy. My own parents were there too. They were there to see my sister, not me. And they said that they spent like 30 to 45 minutes in line trying to get in. So like when you see everybody and you're like, because like the Bobcats will kick off and everybody's like, where are the fans? And then like halfway through the first quarter, like the stadium's filled. It's because they're still trying to get in and then get their hot dogs and get all the
So you could make the case that Texas State was not prepared for the sellout crowd. They don't have the A team.
I think we are still working our way to that point. You remember that guy that was hitting on girls in front of the train tracks?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Could not forget about that guy.
Neighborhood guy. Yeah, exactly.
Friendly neighborhood harasser. Yeah, dude. Look, and who am I to judge a man on his like looks? I will judge him on his character. Guy seemed like kind of a piece of shit. I'll call it out.
So I think we're better than last year, obviously, than getting things around. And there's a huge speaker improvement at UFCU Stadium. It's deafening.
So
literally felt the speaker in my stomach, Andrew.
Let me ask you this. Are you ready for the Pac-12? Because all of this is gearing up to like Pac-12 next year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this
we
is
need
like
some more work, baby? We need some more work. That Tuesday JMU game is going to be a real testament, I think.
Because this is my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I think that all of this is building up so that you have to have the facilities, the entertainment, the event space for a Power 4 environment. Like you want Texas State to be a Power 4 environment. That's why it's so ironic that American conference fans are saying like, well, it's the group of 6 or whatever. Because I think every one of the teams in the Pac-12 are looking at it as like, okay, we need to have a Power 4 environment. Maybe not the most talented teams, maybe not the money yet, but the environment needs to feel like I'm going to a Texas or a Texas Tech or a Texas A&M type of game. That's what I think all of this is kind of geared towards.
Yeah, it's all about the presentation.
Yeah.
Like if you can make it feel like you're at a Power 4 game, even though you may not be classified, like you just got to make it everything feel like it's different than what you see like in Conference USA, the MAC, even like the low end American.
Well,
is it more the product on the field or is it the environment overall? Because my parents left at halftime. The product on the field kind of was mid. The game sucked. I was bored out of my mind on the sideline. It was a snooze fest.
Do you think that? But do you think that's because it was Nichols? Do you think it's because it was Nichols or because it was the environment?
Well, we were trying to get some of these electric plays off, and we just couldn't connect with guys. And then, like the whole first quarter was like the longest quarter of my life, honestly.
I will say this: when the bowl representatives show up to your stadium, because again, like the Pac-12 will have tie-in bowl games, and some will have tie-in bowl games. But I think that the environment's important because if you have a sold out crowd and if you have a good environment, then the idea is that these fans will travel. And when we have that Boca Raton Bowl or we have the, Beef O'Brady Bowl or wherever, like, okay, will these fans travel? Will they bring that environment? Will they bring that atmosphere? They pass the first test by drinking SMU out of beer. They pass the second test by showing up to the same bowl game twice. This would be the third test. Next year when the Pac-12 representatives show up, the tie-in bowl games show up, does the environment feel like a Power 4 environment, and will you get a Power 4 bid to play another one of these big-name schools in a bowl game? That to me is like
a little
the
secret
big
here,
thing.
Andrew. Those
Yes.
people are already here. Lisa
probably.
Gold's already been on campus. Pac-12 people are already in the suites getting drunk. It's showtime, baby, in San Marcos.
Smart. Very smart. Very smart.
Remember when in Animal House when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Well, I was in the Germans bombing Pearl Harbor, and one of the young coaches go, "Coach, we don't play TCU." I'm like, "Well, if we played them."
So, okay, can we shift gears to the coaching search?
Yeah.
The last couple minutes. All right. So Mike Gundy gets fired.
It's a platform for people that are sitting home drawing an unemployment check.
Obviously, long tenured coach at Oklahoma State. His winning percentage at Oklahoma State was pretty great. You consider what the Cowboys did back in the Big 12 when they were playing Oklahoma every single year and they played Texas every year. They were a competitive team. They had teams that if you expand the playoffs, they would have been a playoff team in a lot of years. The last couple of years with Gundy were awful. He is now on a long list of former staples of the sport that are no longer there. Of course, names have been attached to the Oklahoma State job: Traylor, Morris, and GJ Kenny. I start here. Is that job, from what you know about it, Jacob playing NCAA football, Colton watching NCAA football, is that a job that you would think a coach would want?
I guess it depends on how big of a dumpster fire is Oklahoma State right now. I think that's going to be, because it's not the Oklahoma State of yesteryear where you have T. Boone Pickens basically funding the team. I mean, he's no longer there. He's basically,
no longer there. He's 6 feet under, Colton.
Yes.
He's dead.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
He's no longer there. The corpse of Boone Pickens is no longer there.
Yeah. And I think that was a big discussion. I think that I was listening to several podcasts about Oklahoma State. It's that might be my only hope that might maybe scare Kenny away from Oklahoma State. Is that head coaching job worth you're going to get paid a shit ton of money to go coach at Oklahoma, but is it worth it if you walk into the situation and it's everything's on fire?
Colton, I'm going to go to Jacob because I'm curious what he has to say here. Because I've been sitting on this take for a minute.
Well, my big qualm with Mike Gundy is that he was a fan of One America News Network.
How can you not take the trash out? And I told you for 2 years, if you walk by the door and there's a bag of trash, take the trash out.
And there was some of our fans that were like, we'll take a swap, Mike Gundy for GJ Kinney. Listen.
Well, what's happening on campus? I mean,
if Oklahoma State
fit right in.
If Oklahoma State wants GJ Kinney, they're gonna get him.
Yeah. If
he's the number one coaching candidate, they're gonna throw a bag at this guy, and he will be on a plane tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow, but you know what I'm saying. I just don't know if he's the number one candidate for that job. For reasons that Colton has kind of alluded to too, maybe the job itself is just much more of a headache than he's accustomed to. He's in a great situation right now. And that was probably the best take I heard on Spaces yesterday, is that the AD and the president clearly have GJ's back. They're with him through and through, his vision for the football team, for the university at large. This whole thing that Kelly's got going on, Run to R1, it all coincides in one mission. And it's the football ecosystem that is now San Marcos. Does he leave? I've been forecasting for now months that this dude is going to get another contract extension. And this is going to be breaking headline news. I'm sure that Pete Thamel will report, not us, because they don't talk to us. But that this guy's going to get the Pac-12 bag. He's going to get paid probably, I don't know, $4.5 million, $5 million maybe to stay at Texas State.
All right. 4.5, 5. Are you reporting that or are you theorizing that?
I am forecasting.
Okay.
And you don't have to be certified to be a meteorologist. All you have to say is, I'm a forecaster.
I love that. I love that. Here's the thing that I was thinking about for all essentially since Gundy got fired, it keeps running through my head. Would you want to take the Oklahoma version of the A&M job? Because to me that's what it is. It is all of the headaches of being a state school. It's all of the headaches of being in a very conservative state in Oklahoma, where you're going to have on-campus protests all the time. You're going to deal with presidents getting fired because of the administration. You're dealing with all of this turmoil. Plus, on top of that, you're having to recruit the state of Oklahoma and North Texas. Like, this to me is like such a headache job that unless you're throwing major money, we're talking Dillingham money, we're talking Texas Tech money at him. Like, I don't necessarily think he would want that job. The money would be the only thing that I could think that would make him do that, because for the most part, now there's crazy stuff happening in the world. For the most part, Texas State and GJ Kenny have been isolated. They've been there. There's not a lot of crazy happening on that football side of things that we know of, right? You're insulated away from all of the other politics of states, higher admin. That is a cushy job right now. That might be the best state job in the state of Texas right now. So that's the part that keeps ringing through my head. Would you want to go to the A&M version of Oklahoma? And I don't think that you would. I just don't think that job, especially for Kenny, would be that lucrative. The money would be the only thing that I could think would bring him up there. I know Traylor's not taking it. Eric Morris might, because he already recruits North Texas, and that would be a giant step up from UNT to Oklahoma State. But I don't think GJ Kenny, that's not the job that he's going to take.
What would be your order, Colton? Like, of the candidates that have kind of been like shuffled
Loaded,
around here? Yeah. Like, what do you think?
I mean, my theory has always been I think Oklahoma State's going to look for your P4 offensive coordinator, like, looking at maybe your Ben Arbuckle at Oklahoma. I mean, that's someone you can plug and play. Colin Klein at A&M. That's a name I've heard, but it definitely feels like, because I think Oklahoma State views themselves in a different light. Like, I think they view like taking, and this is kind of like me, kind of looking from the outside in. It feels like Oklahoma State, if they would feel like it would be like a downgrade to take someone like a group of 5 head coach and put him as their head coach at Oklahoma State. I think they would rather take an OC from one of the P4 schools and just have him in there, because I'm trying to find the right word for it, but like
now, riddle me this. If this happened a year from now, let's say it's September of 2026 instead of September of 2025, in your world where they would go after a P5 or P4 coach versus a group of 5 coach, would Texas State being in the Pac-12 impact that, do you think? Like, that they would be, GJ would be more lucrative of a coaching hire for Oklahoma State fans and boosters?
Maybe. I guess it depends on like what do you think of this new configured Pac-12? I think that's like, do you think it's a high, like kind of what happened in the mid 2000s, like during the American, where like a lot of those American coaches were getting poached by, I mean, I think it was like Tom Herman, Charlie Strong, Mike Norvell. We're talking, don't know the other guy, like the guy before Mike Norvell at Memphis, who went and took the Virginia Tech job. I mean, there was a slew of like American coaches that went, took a lot of, but like, I think we've also seen like in recent years, I think more P4 schools would rather take an offensive coordinator than a group of 5 head coach. That's kind of the trend that I've been seeing over these past, especially during this latest recruiting cycle. That's not that as we go through a coaching carousel. So I guess that's my only hope, that Kenny does kind of stay. But like I said, like, I think all it takes is like, how much money is Oklahoma State going to throw at Kenny? And the other part is like, does Oklahoma State clean up their act and give Kenny like what he needs to kind of build that program up?
Yeah, I think he's kind of like in a weird spot, because I feel like when I was the editor-in-chief at Texas State at the University Star, and I know this is a completely opposite scenario, But I realized then that like I would never have as much control as I did in that role in the rest of my career, like ever
Yeah.
probably. Because I was just given like whatever I wanted, basically. I could do
Yeah,
whatever.
a la carte. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of wrote something like that based on Jake Spavital. Like I wrote this column about how Jake Spavital was the most important person in San Marcos at the time, right? I was in school in 2018. I still think that's true. I still think the head coach of the Texas State Bobcats has the most cachet, probably more than the mayor, maybe even than the Hayes County judge. I'll be honest.
Can I zag?
What?
I think Dampus is the number one guy right now.
Well, right now,
I think in 2025.
the thing is that the presidential role will always be enamored in state politics, whereas football will not be.
This is true. That's a very eloquent point. I think Kelly Dampus is under more pressure from all sides today than he's ever been in his life. Like the fact that he has the governor of the state of Texas tweeting at the school and essentially tweeting at him, and then also on the other hand being like, hey, because the question I was going to ask, is this going to be a cloud over Texas State the rest of the season? And does that impact your projection for the rest of the Sun Belt Conference?
Yeah, it does add kind of like a non-focus, right?
You have this, you have this cloud now over you if you're Texas State being like, well, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? And like you said, that Baylor game now becomes very interesting because if Baylor loses to a rudderless Oklahoma State team, is the Baylor job opening up? Because I think we all would agree that Baylor is a much more enticing job than Oklahoma State. This is not good for
DJ
Texas.
has way more ties to Baylor than Oklahoma State. The thing that I guess alarmed me was that Thamel tweeted the news after that first dude from Oklahoma State broke it because it was like a local guy. So shout out local guys making a difference. But Oklahoma State is actually a team that I do fairly keep like track of because my boy McLean Baxley is the 24/7 sports editor and publisher now over there. So the first thing that he messaged me yesterday was, GJ Kinney, come on down. And then we started talking about Pete Thamel. As we mentioned before, Pete Thamel is super cozy with GJ Kinney. They were at a freaking steakhouse in the offseason. Nobody believed me that he was getting fed this information.
Enemy of the podcast, Pete Thamel.
Enemy of the podcast, Pete Thamel. Coward, too, because he hasn't come on the show.
Bigger coward, Texas State athletes or Pete Thamel?
I will go Pete Thamel because the athletes are being told, don't go on that show right now.
I just don't know. I don't know where Texas State fans get off saying that there's no way that GJ would leave. Because I think it's very, very apparent. Which then leads to the question, if he did leave, who would be the next coach hired? Because I always thought Leftwich would be the perfect guy if GJ decided to leave. But I'm not taking a pay decrease. Like, why would I take it?
Already can't afford him.
Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
Well, I think GJ's buyout is like what, like $3 million? So we'd have a few million to play with.
1 year contract.
Well, I think the thing with Leftwich is like I think that's a person who I think wants to be a head coach, and I think if there was a chance to be a head coach and move back to San Marcos and be back like where he basically grew up, I mean,
him and U-Haul like go hand in hand. This dude's moving like every other year.
Me, Leftwich, U-Haul, collision course. Like we're all in the same 18-month like hang out at a job and leave. Like that's crazy. Ed Orgeron, what do you think? Do you think he would be
Ed Orgeron and San Marcos?
Yeah.
God help us all.
I think he would be a great head coaching hire. I was thinking more he's probably going to UCLA. But I wouldn't mind Coach O coming to Texas State. Why not?
You tweeted this. Everett Withers, spin the block and be our DC.
Oh my God.
Who says no?
Who says no? I said make him say no. Give him the offer. He's at Temple right now. Who says no? I kind of jokingly said that because it's half joke, half not. I do think he'd be a better DC than what we got going on right now because I think he would recruit better at the defensive coordinator as a defense coordinator than he would as a head coach. However, turns out everybody hates the guy. That was news to me. I thought we still kind of liked Everett a little bit.
Where were you when all this was
I was about to say, like, I thought it was already news that everyone did.
Well, I thought it was one of those, like, you break up with your girlfriend and I hate my ex-girlfriend. And it's like after a couple of years, you're kind of like, well, she wasn't that bad. I don't think Everett was that bad. I don't think he was that bad of a guy. But
Stockholm syndrome.
Everybody hates him. Everybody to a T. It was crazy. And And I mean, he won a national championship at JMU. So, don't turn your nose up at that. The rings matter, I guess. I don't know.
That's true.
So are you excited for volleyball season? We just not going to talk women's sports on this podcast anymore? We brought a female.
We tried to talk women's sports last week.
Claire was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Claire was like, women's sports? What are you talking about?
Jacob sends me the volleyball reels all the time now. Like, that's like the way that we communicate about women's sports in San Marcos now. It's just via the social media. So good job on the social media team.
They did a whole thing with Karen Chisholm talking about Sean. Shout out Sean, because Sean's going to keep his job. There's a lot of coaches that may be in transition soon.
Are you excited? Our first game that Boise State comes in, I think that goth insane clown posse chick will be a junior.
No way, really? Is she still?
I think she'll be a junior or senior next year, so she might be coming through San Mo, Joe.
Well, she was like beach volleyball though. No, we don't even play beach volleyball.
You gotta throw some sand out. Why not? Who says no?
Some sand out.
I would do it. Come on. Because are we expanding? Are we going to expand our sports? Because wasn't Danfus talking to us about like maybe equestrian?
Well, that's like way down the road. Not like as we enter a new conference and then try to get our ducks in a row. And
it's like we lost GJ Kenny, but we brought on Mr. Ed.
That's the thing. It's like we're spinning so many plates right now. This is the last thing that we needed, but it's just going to happen because we got a talented coach. That's just, it is what it is.
It's like you don't go to the steak restaurant with the insane hot girlfriend and not expect the waiter to stare.
That was basically what I was going to say. If they ain't looking, I don't want her. Why are you going to have a hot girlfriend if you're going to be mad that people are going to stare at her?
Don't
That's
buy a
what
Bugatti.
She does. She's hot.
Don't buy a Bugatti if you're not taking it out of the garage. Come on.
Speaking about Bugattis put up in the garage, Colton McWilliams. Well, that's good.
Crazy.
Well, I guess the panic meter for this team is really not that high at all, right? Like,
what are you talking about? To lose the coach?
Well,
or to win the conference?
I think to both of those, I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
I think lose the conference and also lose TJ Kinney, I'm gonna die.
I think it's very much panic level yellow. Like, for sure. Look, the offense is good. The defense is struggling. We kind of saw this coming. I still think 7-5 is a very realistic expectation for this team. But if we've all agreed that they're 10-2, then if they lose to Arkansas State, I'm coming in here with some mean tweets. That's all I'm going to say. Like, better be ready for it.
If we lose any games, it's going to be purely based on how our defense plays and does not make stops down the stretch. Like, that's just plain and simple. Our offense can't be our saviors the entire time. The defense is going to have to make stops, especially on third down situations, which is what they spent the entire summer telling us that they were working on. And it's not really working out so far. They did get a pick, though. They got a pick, at least.
Forced a turnover. I think it was the first in the season, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Against an FCS opponent. Gotta love that. Colton, last word?
Yeah, I think with the football, I think going into conference play, I hate to say, but like it all hangs on like how many points this offense can score, because I don't think, and I just go back and forth on it. And I go back and forth on this, but like, I don't think the Texas State defense is going to face an offense like Arizona State or UTSA. I don't think, maybe if you think James Madison has a really good offense, but like, I don't think they're going to face like a killer offense that's just going to put up 1,000 points and force, our offense, which can obviously like put up points of their own. And like I said, that's why I go back and forth. Like, that's because when I look at, because I always go look at the advanced stats because they kind of tell like a deeper story than what you can possibly see. And when I see like all these offenses are not producing at a high level as what Texas State is, that's why it gives me confidence in Texas State going into conference. That like I'm not going to come and say like outright, oh yeah, this team's. I think there is a possibility. The path is open for Texas State to run the table and go win the division. I think that is a possibility, and I do think there is a pathway for it. I think what Kenny and his team have to do is like they have to because we've seen it in the past like 2 seasons. They always have that one road game that always trips them up. I mean, the first year, it was those back-to-back games against Coastal and Arkansas State. And even last year, it was the weird loss to Old Dominion, and then just the puzzling loss to Georgia State. I think this season would actually define like what Kenny's tenure will be at Texas State. If Kenny is going to be the 7-5 coach at Texas State, which, hey, like considering where Texas State was, before Kenny, I mean, I think a lot of fans would take it, but like I think this is the season that's going to prove like, okay, but is he like the conference championship coach that puts Texas State on the very next level, which a lot of people believe they should have been in the Sun Belt, and kind of what everyone's been chasing since 2005. And I think this year's conference play is going to determine like, is Kenny the 7-5 coach that's going to plateau after the 23 season, or is this the year that Kenny takes the next step and becomes like your John Summeralls, your Billy Napier's, those next level like Sun Belt coach. I think that's what's going to determine like Kenny's like what we think of Kenny going forward.
Very well said.
I think this Arkansas State game coming up is potential to be Andrew Zimmel nightmare fuel.
Yes.
Lincoln Perry going back to the place that started it all from him. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be Lincoln's legacy game. I'm predicting it now. He's going to have 150 plus yards on the ground. He's going to go absolutely bananas.
I saw his latest tweet. He's holding another cup of Gumby's juice, so that's cool. Good for him. Saw another good pizza, putting it down. I thought 3 sandwiches last week showed he moved very well. All right, this is the part where Jacob can cut. So Jacob mentioned earlier in the podcast, big University Star guy. If I see one more main point about freedom of speech, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind.
Listen, guys, I don't
have
anything
crazy
to do with what they do. I know I'm wearing a University Star shirt right now, but I don't have anything to do with what they're doing right now.
This is the equivalent of wearing like an O.J. Simpson jersey. Like,
what do you mean?
Jacob's like, I don't affiliate with the Buffalo Bills nor O.J. Simpson, as he's wearing an O.J. Simpson jersey.
No, this is like I was wearing the Doug Flutie play for the Bills. I don't even know who played.
Yeah, he did.
There you go. I'm wearing a Flutie jersey. That was me. I was the guy that kept it all together for us. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, now it's all falling apart. If I see one more main
I don't
point,
think it's falling apart. You're overreacting.
The free speech is under attack. You see what these guys are doing?
Is it not though? What?
No, I agree. It's
kicked
under
off
attack.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Here's the thing. I agree that what they're saying is right. The example that they're giving is way off. Way off.
I agree. I think there's some takes that maybe need to be workshopped.
This, for the people who brought you, pave over the football stadium for more parking.
The thing that I always said, if I could go back and do it, is I would make the opinions column like section only seniors are allowed to write opinions anymore.
Yeah,
you have to have some life experience before you can write something.
Seniors or grad transfers for sure. The graduate students or something. Yeah. It's something else.
That's the thing is like you start cooking and then you run out of takes and then you got to reach for something.
Well, and
like,
then we had the
19-year-old wrote this. It shows.
We had the stretch where it was like you can't write about anything controversial. So I had to read the same, if you own a pet and you live in an apartment, you should be put to death. I read that take like 6 different times.
That whole time I was writing about Mac Miller, so you can't even blame me for anything.
And, yeah, Jacob likes that. Yeah,
I saw the controversy and I was like, you know what? I'm going to write about 4 articles about the divine feminine back to back.
Y'all are going to like this album or my name's not Jacob. Thanks for squaring, everybody.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges. Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.